Hi guys, Martin from Belief, 10th of April 2026. The time is 2:34 p.m. First and foremost, I apologise for recording a video in my vehicle. I know it competes with what I'm telling my active and managed group all the time, and that is do not record videos in your car because you look like an idiot, you look like a douchebag. However, I am stressed for time these days, and this does give me an opportunity to communicate important information to our clients and to anybody else that might be interested. So I'm going to talk about just a couple of things. I've got about 15 minutes before my next appointment. Incidentally, and I might create another video on this, I just met up with a broker that's just hit a 12-month period where he's hit his first $1 billion. Something that is becoming more and more common is the $1 billion year. We're talking about it for a long time. We ran the experiment a couple of years ago. We've since supported a couple of guys to reach that volume, and more recently Dominica and I have been discussing the potential for $1 billion month, which might seem ridiculous, but it's just volume. All we have to do is work out how we're going to manage that volume on the back end. Incidentally, on this particular trip, I have a little girl with me. Say hello, Alana. I've got my daughter in the seat, my 12-year-old daughter, and I've just swung past and picked her up from gymnastics, so I head home now, drop her off, and then head off to another appointment. What I wanted to talk to you about was a program we launched a few months ago in conjunction or in partnership with a company that does telemarketing. Now, when they approached me as a consultant, I suggested that they ran their surveys through Facebook advertising as a means of actually having the surveys conducted, or at least parts of the survey conducted, via somebody that was able to do so in a manner that elicited better responses, because they were obviously active mortgage brokers, rather than somebody that probably had an hour of training on the back end. Now, in principle, the program seemed reasonable and feasible. However, we did encounter problems very, very quickly, and it's a good problem to have for us. A bad problem for this other company. This other company, by the way, they do telemarketing, but they also do billboards and TV and international marketing and all sorts of stuff. And most of their business comes from government, so they support government for about 80% of what they do. Very good company, and we've got an extended contract with them, so we'll be doing lots of this sort of stuff in the future. It's important to know that. Because what I'm about to discuss, I believe, will certainly change the way we do Facebook marketing in the future, but I genuinely believe it's going to shape the way the industry itself does Facebook marketing, because the results have been extraordinary. And when I talk about $1 billion month, a lot of what might drive that is about what I'm about to describe. So I'll start off with the returns first of all. We were selling 10 websites at a discounted price. What I didn't tell guys at the time is that if they came to us and they met certain criteria is an ACL and you're accredited with the 4 major lenders and a few on the periphery and stuff. Certain types of processing requirements are in place and so on. But most guys, funnily enough, met that criteria. Now, initially we expected to give guys a $5,000 Visa card, basically, and assign that directly to their Facebook account. We didn't get 10 guys in the time frame where we operated. We actually only had 5 guys that met the minimum requirements. So what we had to do is give these guys $10,000. So they came to us, paid less than $3,000, and we gave them $10,000 towards their advertising. And what we're seeing is conversions into opportunities. That's conversions into applications for around $20. So you can imagine this created a strain on these brokers. We had a minimum spend at one point, which we had to decrease because these guys were writing far too much volume. Now, obviously, we were limited by the pace at which these brokers could conduct these initial surveys and talk to individuals. I'm kind of getting ahead of myself, because the process that people will put through when they subscribe to this experience, first of all, we had to put 20 questions in front of them. Right, so somebody subscribed to a Facebook ad, and all of a sudden there was a survey of 20 questions. Now, very early on in the piece, I said to these guys, I said, that's not going to happen. You know, I hate questions in front of people, because certainly if you ask a lot of questions, there's a lot of information you can return. You don't ask questions unless you're returning something or returning significant value. But in most cases with us, that is by way of a PDF that is sent to them, a borrowing report, and it queries our comparison engine. So if somebody enters details, we tell them how much they're going to save. We tell them immediately. It's unacceptable to coerce people into that subscription, that top of subscription funnel experience. Remember, a funnel is what comes next. I'm talking about the top of funnel, the subscription. That is not a funnel, a misconception in the industry that annoys me to no end. But that subscription there, I forget what I was saying now, but the subscription was 20 questions. So I said, we're going to have to give people something. We did return results, and we do return a PDF. However, what we also did was send them a $20 Visa card in the mail. That was encouragement to jump through these hoops and complete this consumer survey. And it probably worked too well. It was 5 minutes work, 3 minutes work maybe, for $20. We initially started giving away Google Play cards and Apple cards and Amazon cards and all sorts of things, but I asked them very early in the piece. I said, listen, those cards are normally associated with scams and spam, so is there an alternative? And the gift card was perfect, because not everybody wants to spend money on Google Play anyhow, all those sorts of things. So once a lead was submitted, it actually went to one of the girls that worked in the processing team at this other company, and all she'd do was verify the details. Right, she just wanted to make sure we weren't sending $20 gift cards to the same person repeatedly, so she'd check the ownership of property and so on. During the subscription process, we did ask, and we do ask, currently there's a number of ads running, you may have seen them. We asked for a verified address and a verified telephone number. On top of the 20 questions that were asked, it gave brokers a really good idea of what they were going to be dealing with once they were paired up with that individual. And the time it took from somebody to submit the lead, and this was a requirement of mine, I tried to educate these guys on the fact that a Facebook lead has to be responded to very, very quickly in order to elicit a valuable and meaningful relationship. So on the back end, this is 24 hours a day, on the back end the details were verified within about 7 or 8 minutes. So it was less than 10 minutes for the individual to receive a call from the broker, unless they scheduled something directly. And in most cases, by the way, they did schedule a meeting rather than just call as soon as possible, which is a fallback option, but something that a lot of people prefer. A lot of people don't want to book something informally because it commits them to blocking out a specific period of their life. So the cost of the conversion into a opportunity is $20. $20. So that is now, if brokers were paying for this themselves, it would have been $40, a little bit more, because they would have had to have paid for the gift card and everything else. But it was $40, I guess, to the other group. So you can't compete with that. $40, and the quality of candidate coming through is consistently high, and the conversion rate is consistently above 70%. So we're attracting the right people. into this funnel, into this excursion. It's an incredible process to see it work, because most people try and engage with individuals in a different way, and you have 2,470 odd brokers at the moment with the same message, trying to convert the same individuals, and those same individuals, via a video, I gave you a demo, those same individuals are exposed to 50 or 60 or 70 Facebook ads in a very short period of time. And since everybody has the same messaging, there's no point of differentiation. Everybody just merges into this big, ridiculous common collective, and brokers get really bad results or bad conversions. And our experience with this particular program has been the opposite. So you can see why I'm saying something like this is probably the future of Facebook advertising, not just in the finance industry, but everywhere. You have to give people an additional incentive to jump through those early hoops. Once you get them on the phone, you're able to convert them in very, very different ways, and you're able to provide that really compelling experience that escalates them through that cycle and gets them into an application as quickly as possible. So to convert at higher than 70% is really quite extraordinary. So it's a program that I think we'll certainly be writing about very soon. There's no doubt that the rest of the industry will be doing this very shortly, because they copy what we do. It's their MO. They're not capable of original ideas, so they blatantly just copy what we do. And again, I've gone through 1,000 examples of that. And there are certain brokers who have leveraged our broker growth name, who are at the top of that list. They literally just copy every single thing we do. It's funny to watch. Anyway, the point of me mentioning this is last week I assigned 5 more guys to this program. Now, I did mention, before I talk about those 5 guys, I'll talk very briefly about the processing, which became the bottleneck. Right? It became a real struggle for us to process, because the other group came back to us and said, look, we're not processing these surveys as quickly as we would like, we're going to have to do something. The only way to mitigate that was to put a processing team on the back end. All these 5 brokers, in fact there were 6, got together and hired 2 staff. So they've now got this communal processing team, a concept we first introduced probably in 2016 or 17, really reinforced in 2018 with a large number of guys, at that time from SFG, I think. When SFG, by the way, was in its infancy, they leveraged the success of Sales Tracker basically to build their operation. But at that point it was a very uncommon thing to do. So these processing people are virtually doing everything, but they also handle business administration and social media and general marketing stuff. We deal with them every second day, and it's just worked tremendously well. So at some point I'll talk to everyone about forming some of these co-ops once again, and it's just shared processing staff onshore. It has to be onshore, and it had to be onshore. 94% of mortgage fraud at the moment originates from organised crime syndicates based out of the Philippines and other parts of Asia. They have people placed into call centres within the Philippines, and those individuals are connected to bad actors locally based in Australia, and they engage in all sorts of sophisticated attacks, including SMS middleware. So they intercept text messages and reset passwords and transfer balances of offset accounts and do all sorts of bad things. So in fact, incidentally, I'm meeting up with a federal MP next week to discuss this specific tactic in isolation, in order for the government to engage in perhaps some legislation that might interrupt the industry in certain ways, but certainly it's for the better, because at the moment we're in a position to completely eliminate mortgage fraud, and yet we don't. So they had this ridiculously good onshore processing team. These processing people are very happy with what they're doing, and they're doing it very well, and the brokers are absolutely thrilled because they're getting the volume, and they've now got this established processing arm, which means they're able to go out and concentrate on other more productive things like their partner programs and so on. So we introduced 5 more people last week. The condition was you had your own ACL, you're accredited with 4 major lenders and a number of others. I think there were 4 or 6 lenders on the periphery, and this was required as part of the program. And unfortunately, we did have to exclude a couple of people that did qualify. One guy, for example, refuses to work with Domenico, and since Domenico is an integral component of that program, we just had to exclude him, which is unfortunate, but it's the nature of the beast. They will have opportunities in the future for other things, but not that. So this program is ongoing now. It's really established. It's got good grounding and good footing. So all I would ask, if we have not contacted you to participate in this program and it's something you're able to do, you've got your own ACL, not in the provisional stage, but it's actually been issued and registered on the ASIC website. You're accredited with the 4 majors. The other stuff is not important because you can always become accredited with the others. But certainly you're accredited with the major lenders. Give me or send me a text message, it might be easier. Because this program looks like it's going to extend out. So there's obviously have to have our website, right? We're not going to work with people that don't have appropriate marketing assets in place. So we need to work with an established framework that we know will deliver results when used in the back end of the funnel. And quite frankly, our website is the only website that has the capacity to do that based on sort of various integrated features. We have updated Nexus considerably to facilitate this program as well. So there are a whole bunch of changes taking shape, guys. This program is awesome. It's just awesome. And guys, these brokers, by the way, the least amount of volume delivered to one of these 6 last month was $34 million, right? And they paid 0 for that volume, and they've still got a ton left on their credit card. So guys, give me a call, 0400 777 300 if you're interested in the program, 0400 777 300. Thanks guys, bye bye.